people? Exciting day. No trees today. I get to work on this one little section of the lake down here. I haven't worked on this for a while, so it's going to be maybe a little playing around to keep it in line with what I had done. I mean, these I probably did months ago. So I'm going to play around to get a little bit familiar with what I was doing, because I can't quite remember how I achieved that, what values I used, such and such. But we'll have to experiment as we go. Let's see here. We're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares in. Got my reference image over here, of course. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which these first ones look pretty easy. It's a lot more shaded down here. So this is water. There's like a little grassy shoreline, and then it's just the water. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're gonna have to play around because I don't know what pencil value I used there, but we'll just take it slow. Start out light, get darker. Start with a 2H here. Or no, what is this? HB. Just looking at my reference image. What I'd like to do here maybe is shoreline kind of continues. Just gonna lightly sketch this in. It's always fun trying to draw with the phone in the way, but here we go. So this just kind of continues down here like this. So down here is water, and up here is sort of the grassy shoreline. Maybe what I'll do, I'm just gonna see what this is like. I can't remember, so like these little squares here, I did several months ago. So I don't remember how exactly what pencil I used. So I want to just start light and then sort of work up to it. And the water's reflecting a little bit of this tree, the trees. We don't see very much of that, but just trying to remember how dark I went. I like to start off with, I'm just going to slowly work up to it. But like always, we can't really mess up here. I'm way too light. This is a 2B. I don't want to get those pencil marks in though, because it's water. Just really lightly shading it with the side of my pencil here. That's looking pretty good. 2B. 2B was the way. Adding a little more pressure. And with the ripples in the water and the reflection in the water, I don't even care if it's super smooth. Because you can see here, there's all sorts of little variations, which is, again, these trees reflecting in there. But I'm just trying to match it. And that looks pretty good right there. Give it a little smooth blend here. And my mat, so this is the bottom of the drawing. This is where the mat's going to be, so I don't care if it's a little sloppy down there. That's going to get covered up. Actually, I'm going to sign right there. Maybe we'll clean that up a little bit. Because I'll have my signature over here. Yeah, it looks like about a 2B, maybe a little darker. That seems to match pretty good. And then we'll add some variations in a minute. If this one goes super fast, I'll go into this next little section. Like I've been saying on these, I like to do a square a day because it fits my time schedule and such. But once I get in a rhythm on these can go pretty easy because it's not much detail, unlike the trees up here that take so long. Okay, where am I going? So this little section right here is just pretty much shadow up into the trees. Just trying to determine how dark I want to go. When you're working on something like this, it's easier to start a little lighter than you want and get darker. It's harder to start dark and get lighter, obviously. So I'm just going to start with my 2B again. This is my shoreline here. It's going to work in a little bit of shadow areas. There's a little bit of just this little hazy fog thing here. I'll work in a second. It looks like the grass kind of disappears right here and just fades into shadow. Yeah, right where the water and the shoreline meets. Again, if you've been here, this photo was taken early in the morning, like 7, 8 on a fall day in the Pacific Northwest, so you know there's quite a bit of fog. There's just a little bit here. But I want to get some of this, just a little bit of grass texture coming in here. Most of this is pretty dark though. It's tough when you're trying to draw realistically and you're trying to always make what you're drawing look like something, but this is like no sunlight hitting here underneath a tree. It really is just darker shadows, and we're going to add a little bit of texture in it, like I mentioned, the fog, and there's a little bit of grass here. But you know, like your brain always tells you, oh, I gotta make this look like something, but this really is just deep shadows and maybe a little bit of tree down here. But it's hard to get yourself out of like always trying to draw an actual thing, meaning trees or grass or whatever. Okay. So right here, as mentioned, there's a little bit of a hazy, just a little fog, like it's not just like a distinct line between the shoreline and water. So I'm just going to give it a little blur. Where's that? I'm working with a lot more of my regular pencils today, and they're never organized, so I gotta look through them a lot more. Let's add a little bit. This is a 4B. I'm just gonna add, just want it to be a little darker here. Being very subtle with this because I don't want it to be darker than up here though. I just want a little something. I want a little variation in the water, and of course, like over here, I want to get hints of these little reflections in there from the trees. So I like to use this eraser because I can just lift up a little bit. I want, you know, this tree here is just disappearing into these shadows. Just want to add a little random lighter values back in here. Even though I just said, you know, getting your brain out of always trying to draw a real thing, and I said you shouldn't always do that, I still do it anyways because that's just the way I am. Here's some grass, and this is going to reveal itself again over here. The grass comes back, but on this reference image I'm looking at, this is a very well-known area in Mount Rainier National Park. It's the Reflection Lake area. So I do have the photo that I took is just off screen here. This is what I'm going after. This is the little section I'm drawing, which is almost, you know, just all sort of really dark shadows and then some grays. And we'll put in a little bit of reflection here in a second, but so that's why I keep referencing and matching back to a little bit. Yeah, add a little bit of this tree randomness back in. I think I said this, but this can just lift up that top layer of the graphite. So I don't want to, whoops, take off too much. I just want to be super subtle. Then we can do that same trick where I mentioned there's fog. There's a little bit of fog in here. And, oh dang. See, I got all these pencils out. Now I'm way more chaotic than usual because instead of 3 pencils today, I'm working with like 20. Take my little sandpaper here, rough it up like I would do on the trees. It's got a nice roughed up, uneven texture, which then it can add, you know, fog isn't perfectly like uniform. Now I can just erase a little variation in here just to sort of blur it a little bit where that fog and shoreline overlap. And then trying to think of how I did this back months ago when I worked over here. There's just a little bit of, these trees are reflecting in the water, just barely. I think I just did this. Again, just staying super random. And it's probably gonna look too sort of erased in. So we might have to do this a few times, go over with our blending tool. We just want a little bit of that tree showing in there. Or I should say a little bit of unevenness in the water. This is another eraser I like to use. Again, a lot of the reason I like to use it is because you can be pretty accurate with it. This one erases a little bit better though, as you can probably tell right there. This one is super subtle. This one can do a little more damage if you don't go slow. I mean, it can erase more. Just want to add a little texture in here. Where the shoreline and the water meets though here, it's still, there's not a lot of light getting in there. That's why you're not seeing like a perfect reflection of the tree. Just want to add some little variations. I'm essentially just trying to make it natural and organic looking with a little bit of reflection, and doesn't look like it's been worked too much. Again, that's another reason why I like to use the erasers a lot, because when I scratch them up on that sandpaper, I don't have complete control of it, so it adds a little bit of that. I'm just barely touching the paper there.